Hello, dear friends. Welcome to this program, Our Moments with God, where I share with you my simple and humble reflections on the daily Mass readings with the hope that this will help you and me in our spiritual journey, in our search for the divine, and in establishing a relationship with Him. I hope you have already subscribed to this channel. If not, you may do it now. Thank you. We were saying last week that the first reading from the book of Amos was always a prophet who spoke for the poor, for justice, and that's what he was asked to prophesy. And today he's been prophesying against the king and against the Israelites because they have gone against the ways of God. And what do the people do that, including the king? They chase him away. They said, "We don't want to hear your word because this word is challenging us and it is not comfortable for us to hear these words. That's why get lost." And I think what often happens when people say something nice to us and when we don't like to hear it and it is uncomfortable for us, then rather than paying attention to their words, we just get angry with them, want to throw them away, want to get rid of them. So it is a moment for us also to examine ourselves and see where we stand with regard to what God is asking us and what God tells us. And in the gospel, from the Gospel of Matthew chapter 9, it reads like this: After entering a boat, Jesus made the crossing and came into his own town. And there, people brought to him a paralytic lying on a stretcher. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic, "Courage, child, your sins are forgiven." At that, some of the scribes said to themselves, "This man is blaspheming." Jesus knew what they were thinking and said, "Why do you harbor evil thoughts? Which is easier to say, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Rise and walk'? But that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins, he then said to the paralytic, 'Rise, pick up your stretcher, and go home.' He rose and went home. When the crowds saw this, they were struck with awe and glorified God who had given such authority to men. Of course, Jesus was not a simple man. But what I find here very interesting is, first of all, one word about blasphemy. Those people were blaming Jesus for blaspheming. As you might surely know, that in some of the Muslim countries, this law of blasphemy is a serious law, and of course, it is anyone who speaks against the Prophet or against the Quran can be tried and punished, even including death sentence for blaspheming. And this was a law also at that time. And actually, in the end, Jesus, one of the accusations against him was that he blasphemed. He called God his father. So that is one of the things we need to understand, that blaspheming or blasphemy was a serious thing, and in some countries it is still practiced. Of course, in India, in a slightly different way by anti conversion laws. Of course, that's a different theme and a different matter. But what I want to come further to the reading is about when Jesus told this man, "Your sins are forgiven," the listeners, who were some of them authorities, they said, "This man is blaspheming." And Jesus told them, "Why are you having evil thoughts in your mind?" I want to pay 1 or 2 minutes time or pay attention to these words or spend a minute or two on these evil thoughts. Why are you having evil thoughts? I just want to first share about when I used to go to confession as a young man or as a young boy. Often in confession, when I spoke about evil thoughts or bad thoughts, and I also hear this often in confession from others, evil thoughts and bad thoughts were always connected with sexual thoughts. So anything to do with sexual thoughts were bad thoughts or evil thoughts. And that was all as far as evil thoughts were concerned or bad thoughts were concerned. I never ever thought of any other thoughts or any other ways which could be evil or bad. This is actually a revelation that came to me much, much later in life, that evil thoughts have not only to do with sexual thoughts, actually, they have to do very little with sexual thoughts. Yes, I want to emphasize that. Sexuality is something very natural to human beings. God has made us sexual beings, and without having those physical relationships between man and woman, new life cannot be brought to the world. So having only thoughts, of course, unless they are misusing or plan to misuse or abuse people sexually, those are certainly sins. But thoughts which come and go or which are just passing are not evil thoughts. But more serious evil thoughts are those thoughts when we think against others, when we judge people, when we want to covet things, when we criticize people behind their back, when we judge people on not knowing exactly what is their situation, what they are thinking, but we make our own judgments. And this judgment can lead us to endless things and actually land us and land the other person as well in problems, because first of all we are not sure what that other person is meaning, what that other person is thinking. We make our judgments, and then we go on to character assassination of the other person without knowing the truth, without understanding the situation, without knowing the context. We are actually ready to judge. Actually, one of the psychological reasons why we want to judge others is in order to defend ourselves, because we are ourselves not sure of ourselves. But that's a different theme, a psychological aspect. But what I want to say is that these are evil thoughts. When we are jealous of people because they have acquired something we have not acquired, or because they have been promoted to some higher jobs and they're getting a better salary, and we get jealous, or because somebody has got good children who are studying well, we get jealous of those children and their upbringing or their development or their progress. I would say, in my opinion, these are evil thoughts. And I can say about myself that I have often been very judgmental about people. And often, what has come about later on is to find out that actually what I was thinking was not at all the case and was not at all the truth. And what a shameful thing it is. But we never take uh, back those things, or we never take that seriously how we damage other people. Of course, sometimes our judgments remain with us, but often we act on our wrong judgments as these people were doing against Jesus. So one thing we always need to guard ourselves against is what we mean by evil thoughts. They have not to do only thing with abuse in sexual behaviors. That may be a minor thing, but major things is when we judge people and act on our false judgments, or simply when we are not supposed to judge. And actually, that is one of the reasons, as I said, that led to the crucifixion of Jesus, because they simply said he is blaspheming, he is calling God his Father, or he's making himself equal to the Father. Of course, when the truth was known, when Jesus really healed him, as the conclusion of the gospel is, when the crowds saw this, they were struck with awe and glorified God, who had given given such authority to men. Of course, according to them at that time, they did not know about the full divinity of Christ. So they thought that God had given such authority to men, but actually, Jesus was the Son of Man. He was God, and he had all the powers, and that's why his sacred heart, beautiful, loving heart, always goes out to all of us. I wish you all the very best, and if you would like to subscribe to the channel, you may do it now. Thank you.